And Mr. Robeson, are you on a cell phone? Is that what the issue is here?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you don't have video capability?
I do not. No, I do have a cell phone, but it's yeah, I don't have the capability of hooking up.
Okay.
So,
All right. I show service on Mr. Rosso on the 11th of February. It's not appeared. I will grant the request to renew the protection order.
and I requested a lifetime
That's not going to happen.
after 4 years. I think that appropriate.
I know, yeah, I understand that that's what you think, but that's not what we're going to do. I'll point out that it probably is more an issue of your ability to gather evidence to show a violation than it is entering the order. What's going on is could, without the order anyway, be deemed a crime. I suspect the primary issue here is that it's your ability to prove that it's Mr. Rosso who's throwing the nails and tacks onto the driveway or spraying the toxin on the plants. That's malicious mischief. You don't need a protection order to have that crime charged, as long as there's evidence that the prosecutor can believe they can prove a case against a person. So this is principally, in my mind, reviewing the evidence in this case, your ability to gather evidence to show that Mr. Rosso is the one doing this. I'll grant the order because he's not here contesting it, but going forward, that's your primary issue, it appears to me.
Okay, and how long for this?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay, thank you. I thought you knew. I'm sorry.
It's going to be good through for 4 years, the 10th of February, 2029.
Perfect.
All right, thank you. The order is available to you in your file. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Bye.
Welcome. All right, it looks like in your case, there's not been service on Mr. Wisnant, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor. So I wanted to request some alternate means of serving him, such as email or maybe compelling his lawyer to accept service. She said that when I reached out to his lawyer, he had a lawyer for the other protection order that was granted a couple of weeks ago, and that lawyer is also representing him for his divorce. And I emailed her and said, are you going to represent him for any other, things, because I need to serve? And she said, nope, I'm not. And so I can't accept service. And a few weeks back, a judge instructed her to provide an address where he could be served at, and she refused to. And her response was, I've never received an order to provide his address for anyone. And a few weeks before that, in protection order hearing, he was instructed by the judge himself to provide it to the court, and he didn't do that. And so the house that he could be going back to, now that the protection order with his wife has been modified because she's moved out, and he's not been back there. I had friends going by there morning and evening all last week, and he's not been back at that house. That's the only place that that anybody knows of other than his lawyer. His lawyer seems to be the only person who can actually get in touch with him reliably. But I do know his email address, and I do have a phone number. I don't know if maybe law enforcement is willing to call him and say, you got to tell us where you are. I don't know if they do that, but when I tried calling the sheriff's office, nobody called me back. So,
all right, I suspect they're not going to tell him. He has to tell him where he is, and if not, they'll arrest him because they won't be able to find him anyway. So I don't think that's a process that they will undergo. Yeah. I mean, they're willing to go to a known address to serve him, but they're not going to chase him down another way, I suspect.
Sure.
All right, if you know you have an email address based on your indications to me about the difficulties you've had in trying to serve Mr. Wisnant, I will authorize service by email, but it's not as simple as sending an email to him. There's going to have to be some confirmation that he actually receives it. So I'll reissue this for a hearing on. Okay, that's not here. Okay. We'll reset this for a hearing on the 10th of March.
9 a.m.
And yep, 9 o'clock in the very same venue that you are in now.
Yes,
and as I said, we'll need more proof of service other than just the sending of an email. We'll need some indication that it in fact was received.
Okay. Which would be like a response from him or something? Or
yep, that's obviously, one of the ways to get it, or him showing up, or
sure.
And frankly, you probably shouldn't be the one sending the email.
Right.
Since you're a party.
Is it possible to somehow compel his lawyer to accept service or forward the email? Like if I send it to her and like or anything like that?
Who's the lawyer?
Whitney, I've got it pulled up right here. Whitney Gardner at Valley Defenders PLLC. Whitney Gardner.
Yeah, she's not a counsel on this matter, so I can't order her to do anything. If she was appearing, I could, obviously, but are you a party to the other matter that she was appearing on?
No, not a party to, unfortunately. No. So I'm just friends with his wife who, got the protection order granted. So
Right.
that's
Yeah. So all I can say there is the judge who ordered Mr. Wisnat to provide the address, and Mr. Wisnat didn't, according to your information. That judge can certainly order a contempt hearing for Mr. Wisnat.
okay.
Or if there's another case, there's another hearing set for Mr. Wisnat. You can have somebody serve him at that hearing.
Yeah, we tried that twice. And one
Right
hearing
now-
he didn't show up, and the other he was online. So yeah.
He's due for a hearing before Thurston County Superior Court on the 9th of May.
Right.
So-
Oh yeah. That's yeah.
So you can try the email, and we'll be back here on the 10th of March and see what you got.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Tom.
But first, I like to deal with things that we don't have both parties present. And let's see, again, we don't have Daniel Wisnett, right? And Daniel Wisnett is not present. So Mr. Elm, why don't you unmute? And all right, Mr. Elm, we're taking up case 2540. Can I have that? All right, so Mr. Elm, looks like I don't have proof that you were able to serve notice. Were you able to do that? Give Mr. Wisnett notice of today's hearing date?
Yes, Your Honor. And I emailed the district court clerk the form that the person who served him sent to me, and I did that last week. Sorry.
When?
It was last week. I can pull that right.
Friday when I was reviewing things, I didn't have anything.
It came through, it looks like on Saturday.
Saturday. Okay, so we're gonna look at that, and then we'll come back to you.
Okay, I sent it the first time on March 7th.
Well, we've got it. So let me just review it, and then I'll turn back to you. So let me, what I see is you had someone serve electronically. This person is in this, you've told us, this person has an address, let's see, in Lacey on 46th Lane. Wondering why he didn't attempt personal service.
So that's the most recent address that I know of. His soon-to-be ex-wife got a protection order against him in December, and he had to leave that house. And then
The Lacey house?
yes, that Lacey house. And
And then you gave another address in Belfair on Old Belfair Highway. I'm just wondering why you didn't try personal
sorry, what-
service.
I didn't give a Belfair Highway
Okay. Well,
address.
why didn't you try personal service? That's what I'm asking.
We did. We could not reach him because the only address we had. So at I've been trying to get him served for like 2 months now, and he went at the other hearing, at 2 hearings. The judge told him at the first for the protection order from his ex-wife. The judge told him.
I don't want to hear about that. So
I'm sorry. Well, he told him to leave an address.
What did you do to try personal service? Do you have that available for the
Yes.
court?
So
Tell
the
me.
judge told him to give an address, and he didn't give the address. And then his lawyer was told by the judge to provide an address, and she still would not provide an address. And then another judge told his lawyer again to provide an address, and she still didn't. So I was not able to get any kind of address.
Have you done? Yeah. The problem is
But
these orders carry criminal penalties and possible jailing if they're violated. So the preference is personal service.
Right.
And I understand that the Lacey
The
address
judge authorized
is
it.
for family home, and maybe that's not going to work.
And he
Right.
moved out of there. And when he did show up to there after the protection order was changed that he could return there because she moved out, he only was there a few times and nobody was able to get to him. That's why the judge a couple of weeks ago authorized electronic service, because this has been an ongoing problem, and he has been trying to hide out and avoid this. And then Melissa Paulson, the one who served
Are you
him,
talking Superior Court or Judge Buckley in this court?
this court,
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
He granted email?
Okay.
Okay.
It's written on the
All right. That needs to
paperwork
go
from
on.
last week.
Yeah, you need to put that in the docket from now on, so I have to work out Mr. Elm. All right, so I wasn't aware of that, and now I am, just wasn't clear. All right, so I do see, and then this email, let me look back at all the information.
And Melissa Paulson, the one who served him, he wrote back and forth with her multiple times, so he acknowledged that he got it.
You
And
have
she
that
sent me.
information to file with the court?
Oh, I do now. She's
Okay.
sent it to me. Well, so she signed that form,
Can
and
you forward
and
that to the court today? That would be
I
very
sure
helpful.
I sure can.
So first off, can you send it directly to you here?
Yes.
Okay.
I can.
Put it in the
send
chat. We're going to put in the chat my clerk's direct
Okay.
email. So then
Okay.
so get that information, the back and forth, so I can evaluate that service was had.
Chat. Okay. And do I put it to just the host, I suppose, there, direct message?
See the chat?
Yes. And then it says I can either do to everyone or just the court.
Not everyone.
I just.
Yeah.
They just messaged you
Yes.
the email. Did you get that? That's where you should send it.
Oh, send it to the email. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were saying send it to the chat. Yes. I can send it.
In the future, just make sure that kind of thing
Yeah.
goes directly in there.
It's not.
Doesn't need to be a note, but just in the docket, just in the docket text. We all go through that. Okay, good, thanks. Well, it's because you have 3 million things you're doing at once.
Why is that not copying? Oh, it's TCDC, TCDC Civil Act. So they kind of go in a strange order here. I've got the first 5 screenshots that she sent. I can send those. Okay, I just sent the first 5 screenshots, and I'm going to save the other ones. After the initial back and forth, he then starts saying, "Hey, I can't." He's saying, well, first he says that, I just want to be left alone, and then he says the restraining orders just keep, bringing me back.
Self, and then if questions I can ask you. So give me a moment. There's a lot of documents. Thanks. Thanks.
What she sent me.
And the picture that goes with the MARQ mark, is that who you recognize as Mr. Wisnett?
Yes, and he's always gone by Mark. His middle name is Marquette.
Right.
By Mark with a Q, yeah.
Right. And you're sending more, actually?
Yes, ma'am, just 5 more. Just send one of these, then he starts to try and say that he can't see the things, but he says that he acknowledges that it's a restraining order. So
I'll just work on getting them to me, and then I can look at them.
Yeah, I just sent those remaining 5.
All right, that extra information satisfies the court that there was service with notice of today's date and what the petitioner is alleging. And so on that, I can make a finding that Mr. Wisnett was served and that he has chosen not to be present. So I'm going to sign an order in default. Let me just get to that, and then I'll turn back to you, Mr. Elm. All right, so Mr. Elm, the temporary order that was issued is now in effect for a year until next year, March 10th. All the same conditions. And so because it's the same conditions, you don't need to reserve for it to be effective, as he's had notice of this order already. So if within 3 months, by December of next year, if you believe that you want this order to be extended for a longer period of time, we have to have another hearing, but things kind of change. The burden then shifts to Mr. Wisnett to show, there's presumption that the order should continue. And it would be up to Mr. Wisnett then to present evidence to the court as a reasonable belief that the harassment would not continue if the order ended. So, but there would have to be a hearing, and you can ask the court for that hearing anytime within 3 months of the expiration of March 10th of next year. And keep in mind that these things take time. So if you come in the end of February, it'll expire before we have a hearing, and then the burden shifts back to you. So keep in mind, you need to get to the court earlier than later if that's the decision. I would suggest in at least a month in advance of its expiration. So that's it for today. Any questions?
Oh, Your Honor, is there anything that's, is the copy of the final, or whatever it's called, is that can be emailed
yeah.
to me?
That's our habit. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, I'm just emailing it, but they can also get it on our website.
All right, so you can either go, probably not until this afternoon. This afternoon, you could go to our website and get it, or go to the court file, or we'll be emailing it to you at the email that you provided earlier.
That's perfect. Thank you.
All right, that's it for today.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
You're welcome. All right, let's see. Albert Nelson. Is Albert Nelson?
Ms. Johnston, I'll need to get your video activated.
I'm trying.
Okay.
Mhm.
And Charles Petey, if you mute, please. There we go. Thank you. It's muted. It's muted now. And Mr. Johnston, is Ms. Johnston where you are, or is she in a different location?
He's in a different location.
Ms. Johnston, we'll proceed just with your audio. So if you'll unmute.
Okay, so
Thank you. All right, I want all four of the parties raise your right hands. Swear the testimony in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
yes.
All right, the Johnstons are neighbors with Ms. Poe and Mr. Downing, is that correct?
That's
Yes.
accurate.
Okay. And Ms. Poe, do you and Mr. Downing reside in the same home?
No.
Okay, and are you each on different sides of the Johnston home?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so this is an issue over the neighbors calling animal services about the care of dogs that are in the Johnstons' backyard. And the Johnstons are concerned about the frequent reports to animal services, and then also allegations that I believe is to Ms. Poe that she yells at family members of the Johnstons, specifically the children. And Mr. Downing reports that I believe it was Mr. Johnston. Well, I'm not sure which Johnston. One of the Johnstons came to Mr. Downing's house armed, raising concerns by the presence of a weapon. So I'll start with the Johnstons. Or pardon me, I'm sorry, that Mr. Downing came to the Johnstons' home armed. So for the Johnstons, have I accurately summarized what your primary concerns are?
For the most part. Also, Ms. Poe has reached out to media outlets and social media and made a huge mess of everything, along with her allegations. And then as well, Mr. Downing also takes pictures of our backyard and talks to my kids and stares at them while they're trying to play outside.
Okay.
Your Honor, these are serious allegations. And
Yeah,
I'd like
yeah.
to
Hold
request...
on.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm going to get to everybody here.
Okay.
And Mr. Johnston, did you have anything else you wanted to add to my summary of what you've indicated?
No, that sums it up pretty.
I'll give you the 2 seconds. All right. And then we'll go one at a time here. Ms. Poe, do you have a response to the concerns the Johnstons have raised?
I do. So sorry, I'm just real. So the protection order filed against me, it's false and baseless. And I respectfully request that the court dismiss the petition for the alleged stalking and surveillance. I have not followed, monitored, or watched the petitioner's home or activities. The only monitoring that I have done is the public records regarding their animal cruelty case that they have going on against them right now. And I can visibly see their backyard from my home. As for their children, I have never once talked to or yelled at them. I have never had any interaction with them. She claims that I've been harassing them since they've moved in. There's been no police reports. There's been no evidence as to me doing this at all. And again, this is a retaliation essentially for me and Mr. Downing reporting the animal cruelty that we both have witnessed against them and their animals. And the Johnstons also have evidence of retaliatory behavior from prior cases in Colorado. And, given the lack of evidence, the false claims, the retaliatory nature of this petition, to dismiss this protection order fully is what I'm asking for, Your Honor.
Have you ever gone to the Johnston home?
I have gone to the Johnston's home, I believe, twice. Once was in July. They were not home. And then when they got home, Mr. Johnston came over to talk to me regarding to why I was there. I let him know I was very concerned about the puppies in the backyard. And then the second time that I went over was to inform them that there were dead dogs in their backyard.
And in order for you to see into their backyard, what do you have to do?
Look out my window, open my back door, go into my backyard. There's not very much that I have to do to see into their backyard.
Okay. Do you have cameras pointed into their backyard?
I don't have any cameras pointed in their backyard.
Do you have to put a stool up on the side of the fence in order to stand on it to look over?
No, I have looked in between the fences to look at the puppies that were in the 4x8 cage that were next to my fence to see if they had water and food, and for the reasoning of my continued call to animal services.
Okay. And Mr. Downing, did you show up at the Johnston home carrying a weapon?
Your Honor, I was wondering, can I request a continuance?
Why is that?
I was served on, it was after 4 p.m. on the 19th, and I'd like to have some time to prepare a proper response.
Well, how about, now I'm a little reluctant to just continue this matter. All right. What are you concerned about here? I mean, you tell me if are you going to develop facts that we don't have available to us today?
I didn't have time to submit the evidence, which would be, images from my cameras, which clearly don't point directly into their yard.
Okay, we haven't spoken about that. Right now, all I want to know is, did you show up at their home armed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and why did you do that?
So I had an incident, and this is back in October of 2023.
Mhm.
And there was, we had some prior history around the house here. There's a bus stop behind the house. I've had people in my backyard. I've had, people try to rush my front door. And it appeared as though somebody was in my backyard, and they went over the fence into the Johnson's yard. And I assumed at that point that it was possibly somebody that, maybe they had over. And so I went outside, out back, and with a holstered weapon. And I didn't even go through the house to go over there, but I went up to the doorbell, excuse me, to the doorbell and rang it, not assuming that they would answer, but I did leave a video message stating, if there's somebody over there, then, call them back over. I don't want people in my yard. It happened again. And, maybe like an hour later, or if that, and I went over one more time and said the same thing. I also said that I didn't want to call the police, but if necessary, I would, of which I did after that. And so that's why I had it, because I was in my backyard, worried that somebody was in my yard. And so I went directly over to the door. And this was late at night as well.
Yeah. And you said this was October of 2023.
Yes, sir.
So have you been back to the Johnston home since then?
I don't believe so. My live-in girlfriend has been over there. Our yard's been flooded. There's been, issue flooded because they left a sprinkler on or a hose on. But I don't believe I've been there since then.
Okay, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Okay, yeah, I don't believe I've been over there since then. But I have, said something across the fence.
And are you posting anything on social media?
No.
So the concern from the Johnstons regarding Mr. Downing is his appearance at the home armed, and then the fact that he apparently has provided, I'm guessing, animal services with photos that seem to indicate he has cameras pointed into your yard. Is that accurate?
That's
Ms.
accurate.
Johnston?
Also, the incident that he's talking about back in October, when my husband went outside, there was already police there, and the police told my husband that he was seeing things that weren't there.
Okay. And when you say October, you mean October of 2023?
That's correct. And he's been back to our house. We were out of town for a family reunion over in Eastern Washington, and we had somebody watching our house. And he left a note. I don't know what the note said. The person watching our house took it down and threw it away and just pretty much said that the dogs were barking. But that's the only time that he's ever, I think, come over after
Yes, that's
all
true.
that.
I did leave a note. Their large dogs were pushing through our fence. They've done this numerous times, 5 to 6 times, and then gotten into my yard. And when they were pushing at the fence, I went over and left a note for whoever was watching their house to let them know that the dogs were pushing through the fence again.
Okay. And when was this?
I'm not exactly sure on this date, but this was when they were on a vacation, I believe.
So, I mean, was it last summer? Was it
Yes,
just
it was
a couple
this past
months
summer.
ago? Okay.
This probably like July, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And does Mr. Downing say anything to your children?
My oldest so we were kind of talking to our kids about everything that's going on. And just to kind of keep to themselves and if people talk to them and everything. My 11-year-old had stated that when we had the trampoline on the other side, baby, you have to stop, on the other side of our yard, which is close to Mr. Downing's yard, he had made a comment to them that something about, that I have cameras watching you. And then, so we moved the trampoline to the other side of the yard. And my kids very seldomly want to go outside anymore because they say that when they go outside, he comes out and just stares at them. And so they're uncomfortable to come back inside.
Okay. All right. Mr. Downing, talk to me about that. First of all, talk to me about the cameras that I'm assuming you agree were the source of the photos provided to Animal Services. Is that right?
No, those are not.
Okay. Do you have any idea who took the photos that were in the file?
I do. I took those photos, but that's directly from my kitchen window, with just the iPhone.
Okay. So do you have any security cameras that are pointed into
I do.
the
I have
backyard?
2 security cameras on the back corner of the house. One points towards the front of the house, towards the gate, and it clips, it catches a portion of the yard, of which I've put privacy walls up and I've put shade cloth up, and I've tried to block as much view as possible. The incident that she's talking about with her children, they were on the trampoline and they were running over to the house, and I had my girlfriend write a statement as well. But they came over and they were doing things such as moaning right at the fence line, and they were saying profanities and things like that. So that's when I went outside. And this wasn't the first time. This was probably about the 4th or 5th time that this happened. And I went outside onto the deck where her child was there, and I pointed at the camera and said, I have cameras, right? And that's the extent of the interaction that I had with the child. Basically, it's just to let her know that, hey, there are cameras, and please don't do that anymore.
So you indicate the cameras don't see into their yard except just as a spillover effect.
It's a spillover effect, and that's one of the things, when I was going to request a continuance, was to get images from the cameras and everything. But it's about like a top, I don't know, maybe like a top eighth or top, maybe slightly more than an eighth of the image would capture a portion of their yard.
And
something else,
do you post?
I apologize. The video is not set to record unless I'm away from home. So I'm not recording anything. It's just, at that point, it's just for me to view live. Or if I do leave home, then the cameras around the house activate, and that's when they start to record.
Okay, so your sworn testimony is that the photos provided to Animal Services were taken by you with your phone, and they are not film or photos taken by the security cameras.
Yes.
And have you posted photos online from
I
the
posted
security
one
cameras?
photo. Oh, not with the security cameras, but I did post a picture that was taken from my iPhone of one of their larger dogs got through the fence and was sitting on my deck. And I posted a picture on the Facebook neighborhood group.
Thank you.
Can I response to me reaching out to media or Facebook outlets?
Yeah, I'll get to that in just a moment.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Poe.
Okay. So it was Friday, about 2:30, that my husband called me at work and said, "You need to come home now. Cairo News is here." I did not reach out. Cairo News and all these other news media outlets have gotten word of this because they are under investigation and felony several counts of animal cruelty. And it's public knowledge, public record out there right now. And so I have not, I didn't reach out to anybody, and I have not posted anything.
All right, Mr. Johnston, did you have anything you wanted to add? All right, yeah. Go ahead.
It's our kids just are weary of playing outside anymore because of like they don't even like walking home from school. When Miss Poe is outside, she comes outside when I come outside for some reason. It seems that she's like, I'm not saying she's watching, but it's more of a, I know what you're doing kind of thing. She has come to the house. I've asked her if she wanted to come check on the dogs herself. She had no care to. All of these allegations of animal cruelty are false. They have since we've moved in, they have not been I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of. I guess that's it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hospitable, maybe, is that the word you're looking for?
Not even high, not even.
Okay. They haven't been friendly to you.
Correct.
I will say that when we moved in, Mr. Downing and my husband, they were friendly. They'd have conversations over the fence line and everything. And then whenever everything happened in October, when he had came over at like 2 o'clock in the morning, thinking that something was going on in the backyard, ever since then, that's when literally the next day, well, we didn't see him for a couple days. And then when he did come back, he wouldn't speak to us anymore or anything. And then that's when the animal service calls started happening.
Okay.
Your Honor, I didn't file any of the animal service reports. None of those were from me. They came to me after the puppies had died. Animal Services did, and they requested a statement, and that's the only thing I provided. I provided the pictures, but that wasn't my report that those pictures were attached to.
Okay, thank you.
Honor, I need to switch computers. My computer is
All right, well, it appears that, this is an issue of concern to all three of the parties here. And issues like these between neighbors, and particularly when they involve children or pets, can be, tough on everybody. And they can make it comfortable in the living environment for everybody involved, and that appears to me to be what's occurred here. Mr. Johnston, is there a hearing currently set is there an animal cruelty case, and is there a hearing set?
There is. I can't remember the next date.
Okay, and what court is that set in? Do you know?
The Superior Court.
Thurston County Superior Court?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just to make clear to all the parties, one of the things we can't do with this order is address the issue of animal cruelty. That's dealt with separately, and apparently there is a case ongoing for which there is a hearing scheduled at some point in time. So I want to be clear to the parties that I'm not addressing anything here about whether the Johnstons did or did not properly care for the animals in their control. This is a discussion about the relationship among the human beings here. And I've heard, and you all have heard the same thing I have, concerns by both parties about the nature of those relationships. One of the things that a court can't do is restrict people's rights to say things, whether they're good things or bad things. Particularly bad things, mean things. We don't have any ability to restrict people from saying that. That's one of the things that our Constitution protects with First Amendment and free speech. And it also allows people to make complaints to whatever appropriate agencies there are over legitimate concerns that they have. And even if somebody calls 911 or animal services 100 times, the court's not going to restrict that. What the court's going to say is it's up to the law enforcement agency to decide whether they're going to continue to respond in situations like that. So I can't tell somebody you can't call animal services or 911 or make reports. I can't tell people they can't post things on social media. I can't tell people they can't call the news media and say, come check this out. That's something the First Amendment that protects that speech and doesn't allow a court to interfere with that. So that's just something that can't happen in this process. What the primary concerns I have here, listening to the testimony, are the issues the Johnstons raised around the contact, specifically between Ms. Poe and the Johnston children, and potentially Mr. Downing and either the Johnston children or either of the Johnstons. I'm not going to enter an order in either case here, but the Johnstons have made very clear that they don't want contact from Ms. Poe or from Mr. Downing. So I would strongly urge both of you to respect that and not say anything to their children, not give their children a sense that you are contacting them either through your silence or your words, and be respectful of that. It's, you know, it's one thing between adults. It's really tough on kids who really don't understand all the things that are happening if adults seem to be putting pressure on them. So I would just ask Mr. Downing and Ms. Poe to be sensitive to that issue as neighbors. And maybe that will help a little in making things a little better, and understand that the issue of the care of the animals is being dealt with in a case separate from this that is occurring in Superior Court, and you'll just have to trust that that will pan out as it should. So I would strongly suggest that you comply with the Johnson's request not to have contact with them, or more specifically their children. And, you know, a couple other comments. I understand Mr. Downing's concern. I don't know that I think it's wise to show up someplace armed. It sends a message, whether it's a message of self-defense or a message of do another thing wrong and maybe I'll use this thing. You know, it's hard to decipher, particularly when there's, you know, some level of grievance between the parties. So the message that you may have intended to send could be the opposite of what was received. So I would be very circumspect before I would ever introduce a firearm into any sort of disagreement, because you're never quite sure how that's going to go, and it can go bad quickly.
Yes, sir.
And I think the response, if somebody's in your backyard, is call law enforcement. It's not the self-help thing, particularly when you recognize that there's some tension between the parties. So all that being said, I just really hope, because it sort of saddens me to think that, you know, the three of you are still neighbors and we've gone through this process. I hope that the airing of your thoughts on this and each of you hearing what the other side has said gives you each a little bit more understanding in a way here where you haven't, hopefully the friction is somewhat reduced. You've been speaking to me and not to each other, and hopefully you've heard each other and understand the concerns each other have and can respect that. So with that, I've signed the orders denying any full order being entered in this case, but I will ask the three of you as good people and neighbors to maybe dial everything down and just let what process that is currently ongoing carry on, and treat each other at least humanely. All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Swear that testimony in this case to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Petey, you report that Ms. Bowman has made calls to your employer saying bad things about you, potentially libelous things, and you believe that she damaged your car, probably scratched it, and that she drove through your yard.
Correct.
Are those essentially the allegations here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you have any evidence that it was, in fact, Ms. Bowman, besides your suspicion? Do you have any evidence that, in fact, it was Ms. Bowman who keyed your car or drove
I do
through
not
your
have
yard?
cameras, sir. No. So, but there was text messages from the day before, very, very rude stuff, allegations about me and my son and stuff that I've tried to get off of social media, but she has me blocked. So I was unable to get all those messages. So
All right.
then since then, she's walked by and flipped me and my son off through our kitchen window as he's playing with his Legos. She's done that several times since the time she drove through my yard twice one day.
All right. But once again, you believe she drove through your yard. You didn't see her
I
drive
did see
through
her. I was sitting in the window and I tried to take a picture of her, but because it was darker and I was through a kitchen window, I wasn't able to get the proper picture. But I
Okay.
did see her twice.
You were certain it was Ms. Bowman who did so.
100%. I could see her crazy look in her face as she drove through my yard.
What time of day or night was it?
It was probably right at dusk.
Okay. What time of year?
And I have a street light. It was
What-
on
what-
February 8th, actually. And I have a street light right on my corner. And then also the officer seen the tracks as well. And then when he went up to go talk to her, she basically slammed the door in his face. And then he
And-
came back to talk to me, and she went screaming back down through the road again, right in front of him, speeding very fast. But of course, he was
Okay.
talking to me, so he couldn't gun her. And then, of course, as you see with the paperwork later on that night, she came back down and called me a cop calling little, well, you know. And then so back like 40 minutes later to see if she'd come back down, and of course she didn't. But yeah, so there's been multiple things.
Okay. So when she drove across your yard, what do you mean by that?
So she drove between a telephone pole and two street signs between my house and those three objects and drove through and then right down through the dirt. And then 10 minutes later or less, she drove back through the other way. And then so officer seen tracks. He said, yes, those are definitely fresh tracks. And these aren't tracks that match your vehicle. So when he went to go talk to her, and he was asking her questions, and she started screaming at him and slammed the door in his face. And that's when he came back and talked to me. And then not even 3 minutes after our conversation, she went driving, speeding down Union Street once again. So I believe that if the officer wasn't there, she probably would have drove through my yard again. And I have a 9-year-old boy, and I can't have people driving through my yard like that. I mean, that's just craziness. It's right through the grass, dead center through the yard.
And was the officer came, did the officer file a police report?
He did not file a police report, but he did have notes, and then I did present those to the courthouse the
Right.
following day.
Right. Well, I mean, what you're telling me is essentially that Ms. Bowman committed the crime of trespass and that she committed the crime of malicious mischief. So
And then
that's being
also-
on your property without authority and also damaging your property. Those are crimes. You don't need an order from the court telling somebody not to commit a crime. So I'm a little curious if the officer actually saw all that, why there wasn't a report. Have you talked to them about that?
I did talk to him, and he said that he was going to handle it. So
Okay.
he said there
And
wasn't
you
going to be a
just-
report, but there was only going to be notes. And then he provided those notes. I went down to the Olympia Police Department. I got the transcript of his notes, and then I hand delivered them to your office at Civil.
No, I read those, but
Okay.
so you haven't followed up with the city of Olympia to find out, okay, those are notes, but what's happening with them? That they allege crimes and, all right, it was
Basically
afforded.
told me that 98% of their calls are mental health issues, and they're kind of have their backs against the wall against
No,
that.
I understand that situation, but you may need to do some self-advocating here, because as I've said, what you're
I went
telling
down there
me,
multiple times.
potentially, well, you can go talk to them and say, hey, I understand this may be trespass, it may be malicious mischief for the damage to my yard. Are you going to pursue criminal charges here?
Because they even stated in the notes that there was damage to the yard from the
Right.
car.
That's
And
why I'm
also
mentioning
showed them-
those two things.
Excuse
Those are
me.
two crimes that you're telling me you believe Ms. Bowman committed. You don't need a protection order. The police frequently will say, well, they don't want to get involved. So how about if you just file a request for protection order? Well, you know, if it's a crime, it's a crime. Me telling me somebody don't commit a crime, that doesn't change anything. A crime is a crime. So, that number one. Number two, Ms. Bowman calling your employer, I can't stop her from calling your employer. Your employer may not want to take the calls, and I can't stop her from lying about you or saying mean things about you. That's something we cannot do. I said that in the last case, and I'll say it here.
Also, the other thing is she said that I was trying to molest her daughter at the bus stop in front of multiple houses, multiple cameras. The parents are always standing outside with their kids, and her kids have to walk. They walk instead of on the other side of the street. Her son walks through my yard, 15 feet off of the road, straight to the bus stop. And why would he be doing that if she thought that I was trying to harm her children? When only thing I'm doing is I'm taking my own son to school and coming back home, and then I grab my work truck and then I go to work. And I do that every day. So there's no way that, anything could be happening.
Right. Like I said, I can't do anything about what somebody says about somebody else.
So what about
if you want to hire a lawyer and sue Ms. Bowman for libel, for making false statements about you and that it's harming your reputation, that's the process
reputation?
Okay, Mr. Petey, that's the process you have to go through to deal with somebody saying things about you which you believe to be patently false and causing you damage. I can't tell somebody to stop doing that. This statute does not prohibit that, or does not allow that. So I just want to be really clear about that.
So what about the slander for my company and getting on social media and doing that type of thing?
Yeah, I can't do anything about that.
Okay,
People can say what they want to say, and it's up to the people who receive that to either believe it or not believe it. And you can't prohibit somebody from getting online and saying whatever they're going to say. I can't stop them from that.
So my next
you can stop paying attention to it. I'll just give you my little secret. I sit in this courtroom every day for 30 years, and some people leave happy and some people leave really irritated with me, and I'm sure they do something about it. I'm not in any social media, so whatever they post, I don't see. I don't see it. I don't care. So that's the way it goes. Anyway, I'm pointing out, and I've said it so many different ways, we can't stop what people say about somebody. I can deal with the interactions between the parties, but I cannot deal with what people say about somebody else.
So I have to pursue through the Olympia police to further their recourse from driving through the yard. Is that your advice?
If it happened to me and somebody was doing that and I thought they did it intentionally, I would definitely be saying, look, here's the evidence. And they, make them tell you there's not enough evidence. And they may say that. They may say, well, we don't have the evidence that she's the one who did it. Well, the officer was out pretty soon, and the notes make it sound like he thought it was her, but maybe he's going to say that's not enough evidence to give to the prosecutor. And he may be right. But that's the point at which they are going to have to tell you there's not enough evidence to pursue a criminal charge. And then you'll know, okay, maybe you need cameras up there. Maybe you need something to record the evidence if this is ongoing behavior. So I'm just letting you know what your options are in that regard. Ms. Bowman, did you want to say anything?
Yeah.
And I'll just, before you say anything, I'll just caution you. You heard me say in great detail to Mr. Petey that if in fact you were doing that, you potentially could have committed 2 different crimes: trespass, criminal trespass, and malicious mischief, which is the destruction of property. You're under oath. Mr. Petey is contemplating whether he's going to go to the police and ask them to pursue criminal charges. So anything you say today could be used against you in regards to those events. So you understand that?
I do. Yep.
And I suspect, if for some reason you had an attorney, they would say, oh, don't say anything, but it's your choice.
Yeah, the first thing I want to say is there is an active protection order against Mr. Petey through the family court. They've been trying to serve him. Secondly, I want to say that I did not say that he molested my daughter at the bus stop. I did not slam the door in the officer's face. I did not yell at the officer. What I said, and it's exactly what I put in my protection order, is that he has referenced, and I'm not going to use the word, I'll say effing my daughter twice while we were, and he, I have, sorry, this is just a lot for me to take on because, yeah, that's what, and I'm trying to protect my daughter here. This is where I'm coming from. I never said that he molested my daughter. I said that he referenced effing her twice in 2 different occasions. And her bus stop is right in front of his house. She has come to me recently saying that he has been like staring out the window and making her uncomfortable. There's a 13-year-old girl that lives across the street whose mom I'm friends with, whose daughter volunteered that same exact information that he makes her feel uncomfortable. There is a woman who lives right next to him. I'm an avid walker in this neighborhood. I have owned my home for 20 years. I walk 3 to 4 miles a day. I just started jogging. And the neighbor that lives right next to him, who I run into while I'm walking a lot, because she also walks her dog, said to me, and I will get a statement if needed, if I ever come up missing, check his backyard and or know he had something to do with it. She does not talk to him. The man has done all kinds of stuff in this neighborhood to other people and other single moms. He's preyed on us. And I am an Indigenous woman, and so is my daughter. We are enrolled in a local federally recognized tribe, and Indigenous people go missing at 12 times the rate as anyone else.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, I fear for my daughter is what I fear for. And I never said he molested her.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make that clear. He has never touched her. I just want to make sure he never does.
All right, thank you. All right, I've denied Mr. Petey's request for a protection order. I don't find that there is a basis for it. Obviously, you know, Ms. Bowman, you are not allowed on his property, whether you're in your car or you're walking. And Mr. Petey has made very clear he doesn't want you contacting him. So you should respect that. And Mr. Petey, if Ms. Bowman violates either of those conditions, you're welcome to come back and seek a protection order after today's hearing, and you've made it very clear to her you don't want her on your property. But I have denied the request for a full order in this case. Thank you.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Okay. Your neighbors?
Yes.
And for some reason, you're saying Ms. Burko has been sending you text after text after text.
Yes.
And at some point, she sent you a photo with a rifle in it.
Yes.
Okay. And what's the nature of the texts?
The rifle. I back up. It's been going on for a while. So it's basically about a fence deal, really. And my yard is actually fenced. The first 2.5 acres, and the back 2.5 acres got a barbed wire fence. I have a pair of goats, and when I'm at home, I let them out in the back part to graze, free graze. Once in a while, they'll sneak through the fence into her yard and in her little pasture and stuff. And in the past, she said it was okay. And I said, no, it's not okay. I'd be a responsible pet owner, and I bring them back home. I just call them, and they're real good. They come back. And long story short, early September, she got a dog. And now it's like an issue because she has this dog. So she's been texting me through the summer about a fence deal. I just refinanced the house with the interest rates and stuff. It's a little bit more money. So I told her, I go, over time, I will make the fence better type deal. But my goats have a pen that they stay in the pen unless I'm home, and I let them free range out back. So I'm always home when they're free ranging. So anyways, the texts went all summer long, and I was just trying to be polite and not say, no, I'm not building a fence right now. I don't have the finances. I don't have the money to just build a fence because you want it. And I don't think it's my responsibility because you have a dog that goes in my yard or goes into the other neighbor's yard. That's our responsibility to keep her dog out of our yard. So anyways, one day I was home and I get a text from her and saying that you need to come over here or something like that. So I ran outside real quick and I looked out back and my goats are in my yard. And I look over and I see her on her property. And she says, you need to come over here. I got hurt. It's in the text messages. And then she says, I'm going to come over to you. And so I sent her a text saying, I'm not a doctor. And I knew she was a doctor. I don't have anything to dress any wounds. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how to dress wounds or anything like that. And I said, sorry you got hurt. But there's nothing I can do, kept it real brief. Anyway, she came over and my girlfriend was leaving the house and she kind of stopped my girlfriend at the end of the driveway and stuff. And then I went out there and I told my girlfriend that she needed to go do her chores or wherever she was going to go shopping or whatever. And I would talk to Marilyn. And Marilyn told me about the fence and that she's going to sue me for what damages happened to her. And I'm like, how is this my fault? It all happened on her property, And she's like, well, you need to build a fence. I go, I'm not. First time all summer long, I looked her into her face and said, I'm not building a fence. That's it. I have a pen for my goats. They will not get out. I'll leave them in the pen forever now. I'll feed them in the pen. It won't be an issue. Well, then she starts blowing me up all these texts over and over how I should respect her and all this stuff. And finally, I got to a point where I said, you're making me uncomfortable. Please stop contacting me. And she did it again. And she did it again. So I just said again, please, you're making me uncomfortable. Please stop contacting me. And she did it again. And finally, she says, in one of her text messages that she's going to get a gun. It's her right. And if any animal or human comes on her property, that she's going to shoot him. Well, I'm scared for my life, especially it's a weird time right now. There's a lot of weird shootings and stuff going on and stuff like that. And I'm just not a gun person type of thing, And so we called the sheriff. The sheriff kind of heard our story. He came out. No, he didn't come out. We actually talked to him on the phone and stuff. And then he asked me to if he wanted me to call her. And I said, you know what? I think she thinks she's above authority. And if she hears it from you, maybe she'll stop calling me, So he called her. Long story short, he calls us back, stuff. He goes, that was a long conversation. And we got off the phone with him and stuff. And yeah, still wasn't, it bothered me that she said that. I took it seriously that she said that for our own protection and stuff. And then we basically got off the phone with him, and about a week went by. It was really quiet, and I thought, well, maybe she took it seriously. Maybe she took that, the conversation with him that, he told her that she can't just shoot anybody that she wants to, or animals or anything like that. I don't believe the goat's attacking her or anything like that, is what he said. I'm like, yeah, the goat runs away from people, and not even like 4 days later, she texts me again. And finally, I'm just like, I'm fed up. I'm done with this. And then that's when we filed the protection order / harassment order.
Ms. Perko?
Well, I would say I'm substantially in agreement with most of what Robert said, with a few exceptions. So the physical layout is what he said. There is a mesh fence in the front part, which is a good barrier for those. There used to be 2 sheep and 2 goats. Now there's 1 sheep and 2 goats. And then the back part is a barbed wire fence, which is somewhat up, but it has big enough spaces that goats can easily jump through it. And until I got the dog, I didn't care whether the goats came over. I mean, I like animals, and they could, eat in my pasture. It didn't bother me at all. So I'm pretty sure that I got the dog in late October or November, although maybe they have some texts that show otherwise. But I got the dog because I have a homeless daughter who's a drug addict who was living in a car with a pit bull who was unfixed, and she fell asleep and wrecked her car. And she asked me if I would take the dog, which is not a dog I ever would have chosen to take. But under the circumstances, I said yes. And I still have that dog. So, and that was, I think, the end of October. And so I only have two sets of neighbors, these guys and the guys on the other side. And fences and animals are the issue with all of us. So I got the dog fixed. I got the dog vaccinated. I took the dog to Fido's farm and had them evaluate the dog. And they said he's, a handful, but he's not a malicious dog. And but then at that time, I told Robert, this is not going to work anymore because these goats are over here all the time. It's not just once in a while. It was really quite regularly. And, my dog was running along their fence line, and apparently my dog was in their backyard, although I wasn't told that originally. But my dog also was in the other neighbor's backyard, and they were going to shoot him. And they said they were going to use lethal force. So, and then I got bear spray to try to protect myself and my dog from them. And then what happened was I was trying to work with the dog. I would take him out and I would walk him. I had harnesses, I had martingales, which is another kind of thing. And I would try to walk the dog in my backyard, occasionally on the road, which is a private road. And I'm left-handed. So I was out rocking my dog in my own backyard. In my own backyard, there's a barbed wire fence around the other two sides, which basically is down to the ground. So it's no barrier at all to anybody. And the dog would even run back there, but it's like miles of woods back there. So, and I figured the dog could fend for himself in terms of cougars and bears and so on, which I do have back there. So, so we were walking back there for about 40 minutes one day, and we came forward to the part which was cleared. And I saw one sheep in my front, in that part of the yard, behind the mesh fence and by the barbed wire. And the goat was basically unafraid of me or the dog. He was just, she was grazing just where she often did. And I thought, well, all right, we'll gradually approach this goat and we'll sort of make her go back to where she lives. And we were, and neither the dog nor the goat seemed alarmed. And then suddenly the goat jumped through the fence, at which point my dog jumped several feet and drove me into a tree and lacerated my face. And so I had blood running down my face, and I texted Robert and said, your goat was over here, and that's why I've had this injury, and I'm going to come over. So I went over, and I had blood running down my face. I had sent a picture, and Tanya and Robert were crossing paths. She was coming, he was going. He told her to go do what she was doing, and he said, "Oh, you can just clean it up." And I said, well, it's over the angle of my jaw. It's near my ear. I can't see the laceration. I can't see what structures are involved. And I'm going to go have it checked out. So I went to Indigo down the road, and I had a laceration, which is about that long. It was a nice, clean laceration. It didn't involve my ear. It didn't involve the angle of my jaw. And he just glued it. And so I went home. And then over the next day or two, I realized that my hand was hurting me a lot. So I went back to Indigo, and they took an x-ray. 3 views, which showed that there seemed to be some laxity of my 4th digit and suggesting that something was wrong. So he sent me to a hand surgeon. The hand surgeon said that I had ripped the ligaments and tendons around of my 4th finger, which is why it's like this. And this injury, it doesn't need a cast or a splint because it actually gets more stiff and has more problems if you do that. But he said this is one of the hardest injuries it takes the longest to resolve. It takes at least 6 months and sometimes longer. So that is, I am planning to sue them for personal injury, and it is for this injury primarily, but both. But and he knows that because I let him know that. But so when I went over and he told me, just clean it up. And then afterwards, I went back and told him I was, about the laceration. And he said, "You're a doctor. I'm not sorry." And I'm not really sure what that meant, but I have it in a text message. It seemed callous, to put it mildly. And so then what I thought to myself, so I'm widowed. My husband died 2 years ago, and he was an expert marksman, and we used to have guns on the grounds. I don't know if this is relevant, but 6 months before he died, about 6 months before he died, he was very despondent, and I went into my garage, and he had a gun to his head. I think he had a 37 and a 44 and a rifle. And I had a guy on the premises who used to do work for me. And George said, "What would you do if I shot myself in the head?" And I said, "Please don't do that." And I asked the worker who was on my premises to take those guns. And he did, but unbeknownst to me, he was actually a felon and he stole those guns. So, and I had seen the guns. I've never shot a gun. I've never owned a gun. But I do have bear in my backyard pretty often. I do have coyotes in my backyard. I do have people who used to work for me who were unreliable, and they know where I live. They know the grounds intimately. And then I have these neighbors and the other neighbors who basically have kept me isolated for the last 2 years. They never help. Tanya occasionally asks how I'm doing. And then the fence, because I had really been asking him from when I got the pipple, like this is going to be an accident waiting to happen. That's really my thought. And I guessed that he was having financial difficulties. And I suggested that I could go halves with him on the fencing, but he wasn't interested. And then I said, my workers who I had there at that time, I said, my workers can put in this fence, because he said he already had the materials. And he just said, "No, I'm not doing it, period." And then this thing happened because the accident that I predicted would happen, a variant of that happened. Should I stop for a moment? Okay, no?
I know. Is there anything more you need to tell me?
Well, then I just decided to get a gun. And I have never, I'm a retired pediatrician. I've worked for reliable gun legislation at the legislature for years. I know a gun in the house is usually a bad idea, but in this particular case, there was only me. And I figured a rifle would be a good thing to get, because I can shoot whatever I'm shooting at a distance, not myself, but and my intention was to use it as necessary on my own premises, and that's still my intention.
Thank you. All right. And Mr. Neff, anything else you want to say?
No, I mean, this is a very long story that I don't want to waste your time with. So,
Judge, can I say one other thing?
Sure.
In his statement, he says that I'm suicidal. And there's some truth to that. not today, but I have been suicidal somewhat over the past couple of years, which is why I would never get a handgun, right? But I do feel that on the balance, given the wildlife that's in my own backyard, given the other, the animals coming and going, and so on and so forth, that I need to have my Second Amendment rights.
All right, thank you. And the purpose of sending a photo with the weapon is just to let them know.
To let them know that I am part of the neighborhood now. And I don't know, I know they say that they don't have guns. And, well, I guess that's not what he said, but I think I'm the only one in the neighborhood without guns. And I know that there's target practicing behind their house on a fairly regular basis, as well as further down the street. And so somebody, I feel that I need to defend myself. And I will say one further thing, which is I talked to 2 Thurston County deputies about this incident. So first I called animal control and they said, no, livestock are not animal control. Livestock are whatever. There's a whole other category, right? So then I called the Thurston County Sheriff and he said, what did he say? Well, he said, have you looked at the RCW? It's like, no, I have not. And I don't even know how to look them up. So that officer looked them up and kind of paraphrased them for me. And what he told me is that if the livestock is on your land, it's yours to claim. And then he also said, well, it was about the livestock we were talking about. So then I said to him, it's like in the Old West. It's like if the longhorn comes on your ranch, it now belongs to you and you can shoot it and eat it. And we laughed about that. And then, so when I texted Robert that, if your livestock or you come on my property, I have the right to shoot you. That was actually my understanding. And then I talked to the second deputy who he must have spoken with at length, because that guy called me up and said, this sounds like terroristic threatening, or, well, as a minimum. I mean, no, maybe as a maximum. He said, this sounds like terroristic threatening. Are you planning to go kill them or their animals? And it's like, no, I'm not. And he said, well, you need to understand that in this state, the RCW says you can only kill the animals or the person if they are an imminent threat to you. So I guess there's a few questions I have about that. The first is, if a person is an imminent threat to me, I hope I recognize it fast enough to do something useful. But regarding the goat, the goat was not an imminent threat to me, but the scenario was an imminent threat to me. So if I wait till the goat comes and attacks me, that's not going to fix my problem. What was the second question? Well, then there's a few questions about, like, we're supposed to be 1,000 feet apart from each other. I don't even think our houses are 1,000 feet apart from each other. And then the third person who's been named in their household, I think, is Robert's stepdaughter or daughter. Anyway, to my knowledge, she doesn't live there. I have met her before, or I've seen her before, but if she were to come anywhere on the street, I wouldn't recognize her. So it's kind of hard for me to comply with both those things.
Right now, there is no order, so.
Well, if there were an order.
Okay, so, I mean, I just want to be clear, there's nothing that restricts anything by distance at all. No restriction on it.
Well, I'm willing to stop harassing them. And I'm really not planning to kill anybody, sheep or goats or anybody, if they stay off my property. And I do want to have a rifle, and I will learn to shoot it. And I think I need it for all the reasons that I just mentioned.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Boldis, did you want to add in?
Yeah. Well, first, it's not my daughter that's mentioned in there. It's his mother and her boyfriend. My daughter is not mentioned anywhere in there because she doesn't live there anymore. I did want to make a statement, but now I don't remember what it was, but it was our neighbor that's next to us that has his own range on weapons that he fires off. So I just wanted to let her know that it's not us, that it's happening in our backyard. It's the neighbors that are next to us. And then I believe he has neighbors on his other side that they have their own range of weapons that they fire off. So it is not happening in our backyard.
Can I ask as a point of clarification? You don't have guns?
I never said I didn't have guns. I said I did not fire my guns in my backyard.
Oh.
So.
All right. Sounds like an armed neighborhood to me.
It's rural.
It's county, right?
It's rural. Yeah.
Oh, my. Right. We have a constitutional right to own firearms, but that has to be exercised responsibly. And firearms aren't the solution to any but the most immediate problem. So, for example, Dr. Burko, shooting somebody because they're trespassing you on your property when have you end up in jail on a murder charge.
I get that. And
So
I just don't
what the law says is in that regard is not only is the danger imminent, but you have to be threatened with the same level of violence. So if somebody's raising their fist to you, there's an argument that you can't use a firearm. And there could be permutations of that might change that a bit, but I would not view your weapon as a personal safety weapon from another person. And the shooting of livestock or pets is, obviously it's going to cause great consternation to the other party and probably forever poison that relationship. I do hear cases I hear cases occasionally involving cows and other livestock that wander continually, break down their fences, go to neighbors' property. They're found in the road. They're found all over the place. And even though it's irritating to people, most people work out a process by which they call the neighbor comes over, gets their animal, returns the animal. On the other hand, for Mr. Neff, you told me the goats are in the pen now. If you know that they have this pattern of getting out of fence, which you haven't been able to afford to make sure they can't get out of, in that case, you have to keep them in the pen because you are responsible for any damage they can do to anybody else. And I'm not going to weigh in on whether there's a actual claim for personal injury in this case. That if that case comes before me, then I'll weigh in on it, but that case isn't before me. But if you're going to keep goats, you have to make sure that your goats aren't invading other people's spaces. They have the right not to have your goats on their property. Much like you have the right not to have a pit bull on your property. So I'm not going to enter an order in this case. Dr. Burko, Mr. Neff and Ms. Boldis don't want to get your texts.
That will stop, I guarantee it.
And, I'm not going to enter an order. So you folks will have a little flexibility here in saying, hey, your goats are on my property again, so they know and can come get them. Or, hey, your dog is scaring, is on my property barking at my goats so that it can come get them. But outside of that, there shouldn't be communication back and forth. You both have heard each other. You both know what the issues of concern are. It doesn't appear like they are presenting any sort of firearm danger to you. It sounds like it's their neighbors who are doing the shooting. So I don't want you to think that you're under attack. And I'm not going to restrict your ability to possess a firearm. You're a doctor. You understand the nature of depression. And
Yes, I do.
Firearms with depressed people is not a great thing. But, I've listened to you and I have no concern about your competency and your ability to go rationally through that process. So anyway.
Can I just clarify a couple things? So the other people named in that complaint are your mother and father, who are visitors sometimes. Is that right?
They're staying with us.
Oh, they are.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what should I do so I know how to recognize them?
Well, nobody can be on your property unless you give them permission.
Right.
So I suspect you won't find Ms. Boldus's parents on your property crawling through the barbed wire fence.
See, okay. Well, and the other thing is, I just paid $14,000 to get a fence put up on my property, which is not yet built, but will be. And that is so that the pit bull and I can be safe.
Right.
But that's only a portion of my property. It's only like an acre and a half, maybe out of 5.5 acres. And in the backwoods where, he can run free, he doesn't run off, but there's no way to secure that much property.
Right.
So
if you let him run into the back, the same thing for Mr. Neff and his goats. He's responsible for making sure if they're not on his property, they're not doing damage to somebody else, and you're responsible for your dog when it's not confined in your property, that's not doing damage someplace else.
Well, and I have found out that every time your dog goes on somebody's property, there's I think it's a $50 fine, which if it's only an occasional thing and he's not really harming anybody, I'm not saying I would make a habit of that, but that might be kind of an inevitability. But if my dog is actually posing a risk to anybody, of course, I need to know about it.
Okay. All right. I think we've worked our way through this one.
Thank you.
I will sign the denial order. So have all three of you sit tight and we'll give you a copy of it. And Ms. Boldus and Mr. Neff, you're welcome to come back and seek another order if in fact there's behavior that you think warrants it. Same for Dr. Burke, or you come seek an order. But, I can't order goats to not change property. I can't order a dog not to go onto somebody else's property. All we can deal with are the owners of those animals. And you both sound like you are taking steps to restrain the impulses of your animals to wander. And hopefully that will keep things down and they don't need to get all the texts about building the fence. If you want them to contribute to a fence that's built, it's a reasonable thing for neighbors to do, to ask each other, and you can do that. But if they say no, that's no. You can't force them to do that unless you sue them, and we'll just leave it there. One of the things we hope in conducting actual hearings is that the parties, when they're able to hear each other without getting into an argument between each other, have a little bit deeper understanding of where each party is. And given that context, we hope there's a little bit more empathy towards the needs of the other person, and perhaps some accommodation to allow the people to coexist as neighbors without constantly feeling under siege from the other one. So I hope that occurs here, since you have heard each other and you've politely listen to each other. And I know that Dr. Burkos indicated she's contemplating a lawsuit. She'll speak to a lawyer, and the lawyer will advise her whether in fact she has a basis for a lawsuit or not. And if that happens, try not to let it, besides just irritate you, don't let it cause more combat between the parties. Just let the process play out, and it will.
Judge,
Yes.
can I ask you one last question? So I also got a surveillance system put up just the other day for the same reason. And so now I can see all directions of my property, but only so far out. But from what I heard earlier, it sounds like you need to very intentionally not pay attention to what's going on their side of the fence.
Privacy,
Right?
privacy is a big concern.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that your security cameras providing your security, they're not providing security for the whole neighborhood.
Mhm. Okay.
All right. We'll give you each a copy of the denial order just so you have it for your records. I appreciate you speaking respectfully to each other. Thank you.
My dog is interviewing for a 3-week boot camp this afternoon. It's pretty expensive.
Yeah, I imagine. Which one are you taking your dog to?
It's called Lead Me On, Ursula. They
Not familiar
deal
with
with, I don't know if he's a difficult dog. He's just young and crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, unfortunately, you have a breed, as you know, that just by its mere presence can be intimidating to people.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think, frankly, most of the bad press around that breed comes from those dogs being owned by people who are bad pet owners and are cruel probably to their dogs, and the dogs reflect that in a pretty, in a way that is not healthy, obviously. Good owners can have good pets. Owners who aren't good can have bad pets. And so, you know, it's probably not the breed's fault, it's the owner's fault. All right, folks, we each have a copy for you. Swear the testimony in this case to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right, two of you reside in the same building, is that right?
Yes, Lotus Court Apartments, Patterson Street, Olympia.
Okay. So, Ms. Flanagan, you indicate that Ms. Adams makes a habit of calling you names. She takes your walker and she pushes it away from you. She does something with her cigarette butts and
In the eye.
okay. All right. Anything else?
Well, I do have something here from a friend of mine. I've been there 4 months and I have acquired some friendships there. One is Eileen L. Pierce. She's a very good friend of mine. She actually wrote something, an affidavit, to have me read to you.
Go ahead.
She said, I was doing my laundry, I believe it was on February 18, 2025. I left one load in the dryer. I had company over. I went down to get my laundry out of the dryer, but someone took my laundry out of the dryer, put their laundry in there. Was still 22 minutes left on my dryer. There was 6 other dryers open to use, so there was no reason for anyone to mess with my belongings. I went out into the lobby to see if anyone was been doing the laundry room. Martha and Jimmy, her friend in the lobby who sit down and read books. I asked if they had seen who went there, and they said Julia Adams. She just came out of the laundry room. I went back up to my apartment, and the time was then 6:30 p.m. I started to fold my laundry and found there was white dog hair all over my laundry and snot all over my black hand towels. The dog hair was short, white dog hair, which was her when she walks. About a half an hour later, I went to take my dog, Bella Rose, a Cocker Spaniel, out of the potty and went out front door, turned left to go back. and get the dog poop bag. I got about halfway there back to where the bags were there and Julia was there with the white chihuahua. I turned around to go back and there was an aggressive pit bull on the other end of the walkway. Bella and I were stuck in two dogs, aggressive. And Julia said to me, you have to be fucking smarter, excuse me, Deanna. You have to be bleeping smarter than the bleeping dog. I don't know why Julia is talking to me in this manner, because I've never had any problems with her. The only thing is that I talked to Martha Marie Flanagan, and Julia doesn't apparently like that. But what is going on between Julia and Martha Marie has nothing to do with me. I wrote this because I won't deal with someone who's obviously escalating at the Lotus Court Apartments and bullying me, Eileen L. Pierce. February 18th.
All right. Ms. Adams?
Never happened. If it did, it would be on camera. There's cameras in the laundry room.
Okay. Talk to me about the concerns that Ms. Flanagan's indicated. Do you mess with her?
No.
Not at all?
No. And I have paperwork here if you'd like to look at it.
What's the paperwork say?
That I don't mess with her and she messes with everyone else. These are written statements from these people and the people. There's tenants, the other ones that they're willing to come in and testify, and there's also going to be, there's 4 people filing a restraining order against her tomorrow. So would you like to see these?
No, not if they're present, I don't.
No, these people aren't present.
Okay, well, yeah, no, hold on to those. So why don't you bring one person up at a time?
My name is Cheryl.
Get Ms. Lipsinger, come on up and just have a seat right here.
Sorry, we call her Sissy, so.
That's okay. And Ms. Lipsinger, raise your right hand for me, please. You swear the testimony in this case to be the truth, all truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
go ahead and have a
sir.
seat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, and what do you know about the relationship between Ms. Adams and Ms. Flanagan?
So, I know that Miss Martha doesn't like Miss Julia from the very beginning. And I know that recently there was a restraining order served on Julia.
No contact.
Oh, no contact, whatever. And so now everyone that is with her or around her has become a target of Martha. And I actually have never had problems with her. She pretty much ever leaves me alone, stays away from me. But since me and Julia have been friends, now she picks on me because me and Julia are friends and she doesn't like Julia. So she waits for Julia in the laundry room and Julia goes out to smoke. So when me and Julia were going out together to smoke, in a way to go smoke, we have to go out down a hallway past the laundry room. So when we walk past the laundry room, Miss Martha comes out behind us and she walks so good. You walk really good.
Just talk to me.
She walks really good without her walker.
Mm-hmm.
But at the apartments, she walks with a walker like this. And she comes out of the laundry room with her walker really fast. You're in violation. You're in violation. I'm calling 911. And she starts trying to ram me and Miss Julia with her walker. And then she came behind us and tried to get out the door before us. and then calling 911. And she said, that's on camera, that's on camera. And she does that to everybody.
Okay, thank you very much. You can go ahead and have a seat back there.
Okay.
And did you have somebody else who wanted to?
Miss Tony.
She's witnessed her behavior, Shirley.
Okay, if either one of you want to come. Okay, and raise your right hand. You swear the testimony in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
And your name is?
Tony Barlow. Tony, Toni, Barlow, B-A-R-L-O.
Oh, Barlow. Okay, thank you. Go ahead and have a seat, Ms. Barlow.
Thank you. So I'm Cheryl Litzinger's caretaker. And so I guess my reason to be here is on behalf of both of them, but mostly Miss Litzinger, because her stress level and her ability to leave her apartment and just kind of be natural, be on, a regular day with her has subsided. It's down to a minimal now. So, because before, she was being, very social and being able to be out, but this has really caused undue stress on a lot of people. And I can't talk for them, obviously, but I can talk for Miss Litzinger. And there has been a change in her temperament and how she wants to leave her apartment now. She's afraid that she's going to end up getting something against her just by meeting her in the hallway. Okay. It's just been that kind of thing.
Have you seen any of this?
I have seen her behavior. Yes, sir.
Describe it. What you have seen.
I've seen her try to hit somebody with an umbrella.
By her, you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Martha. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
She's been verbally offensive to people, and I came up right after she had spat in someone's face. And actually the police were there at the time.
That never happened.
Okay, yeah, hold on. I'll get back to you.
That never happened.
Ms. Flanagan, I'll get back to you.
All right, that never happened.
Okay.
Let Ms. Barlow go
So
that is a lie.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, there's been many, many incidents. She called 911 on this fella. He actually is dead now. He had lung cancer, and it was an issue with the elevator and her not letting him out of the elevator, and he did push her with his walker. So anyway, there was a big deal. She's, in my opinion, she's been a troublemaker from the word go, and she has all these protective orders on so many different people, and it's just a nightmare.
I don't have any.
Okay, Ms. Flanagan, don't interrupt, please. Go ahead, Ms. Barlow.
That's it. That's all I see. And my main concern is Miss Litzinger and, her ability just to leave her apartment without feeling like she's going to be either assaulted or have a protection order placed against her.
Okay, thank you very much. And ma'am in the back, did you wish to say something?
This is Shirley.
Okay, thank you. Shirley, if you'd raise your right hand for me. Swear that testimony in this case be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Okay, and your last name is?
Peniagua.
Peniagua. Okay, Ms. Peniagua, go ahead.
Okay, I've been pretty much neutral I try not to get involved with anybody's stuff, but I have seen Martha come unglued on a lot of people, and they try to. We're all kind of out smoking. She comes out and refuses to leave in the area we're at. So the whole group has to get up and walk to the front of the building. So we have time to visit. And we watched her try to poke somebody. This Ellen that she's got a state from, she tried to poke her.
Have you ever seen
management tried to get in or had to get involved?
Have you ever seen a situation in which Ms. Adams has initiated something negative with Ms. Flanagan?
I
never witnessed it. I was at church one day and I heard about it when I came back, so I wasn't involved.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Panier.
Your Honor,
All right, okay, Ms. Litzinger, hold on just a second. Okay, thank you.
just say one more thing.
Sure.
Oh, Your Honor, Miss Martha told everybody that Miss Julia is an alcoholic. And that's not true. Me and Miss Julia have been friends for a really long time. She's not an alcoholic.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Adams, do you have anything more you would like to say?
Yes, I came up early and I was writing a statement out for a friend of mine who has litigation against her. They're in court the same time we are. So that's another witness of mine that's not able to be here. But that's who's gotten the brunt of her abuse, along with myself and many other tenants. But she's escalating. I thought it would get better. I thought Lotus Management would handle it. Nobody seems to be. So I'm after me being protected from her, all the other tenants, and most importantly, Barbara, who again is in another courtroom going against her because she was verbally assaulted and physically assaulted from her. They did mention the other gal, she spit in her eye, so she's got to, I'm going to take her to the police officers to have her, she'll file assault charges. She needs to go to her doctor to be tested for anything that may have been transmitted. She's doing a restraining order. I'm doing a restraining order, and I believe 3 other people. And then many people, if you'd like their number, name, anything from them, if you have any questions, even the staff at Lotus. But I have these written ones that I wasn't able to submit to you before this hearing.
So you all live in one building?
Correct.
And are you down the hall from each other?
No, I'm on the 5th floor and she's on the 2nd floor, and she also came up last night to my floor, but she's not supposed to. And then when I go out to have a cigarette, she runs up to me and says, "You can't be out here. You have to go away now." She doesn't understand the no contact order, which is fine. You know, she's capable of it. So,
Your Honor, may I speak?
Oh, okay, I'll get back to you.
a lot of people couldn't make it here today for other obligations they had, but wrote to you.
And how long have you all lived in the same building?
I went in on September 27th. Anybody else's date, I do not know.
And was Miss Flanagan already residing there?
Pardon me?
Was Miss Flanagan already residing there?
I couldn't tell you that. I have no idea.
When did you come to know Miss Flanagan?
I can't remember that either because it's just been a nightmare since. So I'm, our staff could tell you that. Who were in charge of moving everyone in. I don't even know when these people moved in. I know they're my friends now, but can't even remember their
that's okay.
Floor number.
All right, Ms. Flanagan, go ahead.
Yeah, here's another one from Kathy. Last night when I was on her, I didn't even know where she lived until a week ago when Shirley served because she saved me $75. So this is from Kathy. The girl that talked about her using profane and foul language. None of what she said is true at all. We have 9 incident reports, 5 grievances, and the management is aware of her. She's the one that assaulted me the other day with the Colombian lady, and we do have it on video. The video was when Josh Dannenberg, the property manager, actually saw her do it. She called me demon. She's been on the elevator. Dave just got out of the hospital. He could come, but this is a letter handwritten from Kathy, my friend of since I met 4 months ago. I did not arrive till October 29th, so I didn't even know she was living there. Anyway, apartment 311, I, Kathy Friol, have known Martha Marie for 6 months. She is a nice person who doesn't hurt anybody. Witnessed by Nathan, my son, on February 11, 2025 at 9 p.m. Lotus Court, incident report, February 21, 2025. Your name, Martha Flanagan, Lotus Court. Person involved, Julia Adams. Apartment, we just found out, I didn't know she lived on the 5th floor till a week ago. A lady named, I came back from church as I'm becoming a master and a minister, and I was gone for 3 hours. And so what she said is the absolute fabrication of the entire statement. Julia Adams was simply with my walker. She's the one that blocks it. In other words, she's screaming and screaming and screaming and putting her fist and slamming down her fist. And she's, as far as the other lady in apartment 501, Kim, was the one 3 months ago that said that she wrote the management, not me, about her alcoholism. I didn't know anything about her. I only know from Shirley that her boyfriend beat the living crap out of her a year ago. Her violence is excessive. She's accelerating her behavior. She came to my floor on the 2nd floor until she was told by management, you cannot go within her. And then Shirley was nice enough to save me $45 from calling the police. We did call 911 yesterday, and they're awaiting a decision, Your Honor. So what she said is absolutely fabrication, completely.
All right, thank you.
I do have a video of it all as well.
Sir, can I be excused?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Take care. Thank you, dear. Have a good day. Be well.
Ms. Flanagan, has the order that I entered previously, has that changed anything?
No, Your Honor, just accelerated, got worse.
Mhm. Okay. Which is kind of what I had assumed listening to everybody here.
Pardon?
So, which is kind of what I had assumed listening to everybody here.
I'm lost as to what you're assuming.
I'll tell you in a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
Are you willing to?
How many people live in this facility? Any idea?
60.
I believe there's
60.
64 rooms.
Okay. Thank you.
And Sam passed away. He had lung cancer for 5 years.
That's the man she
Yeah.
tried to.
And that's that's the scooter that he put
That's
through.
enough.
So
That's enough.
she's also
That's
doesn't know
enough.
the whole story. Whenever he gets it.
That's enough. That's enough.
Thank
Talk
you.
to me, Ms. Flanagan. Talk to me. Okay, so you have 60 of you that live in this building, give or take.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I have some people saying that Ms. Adams is the problem. I have some people saying that Ms. Flanagan's the problem. I'm hearing that some people are going to seek orders against Ms. Flanagan. I don't know if there are other people seeking orders against Ms. Adams.
No.
But
yes.
Oh, hold on.
No.
Okay.
Let the judge speak, Julia.
I'm glad I don't live here. That's all I'm going to say right now. You guys would be mean to me. Protection orders aren't going to change anything down there. That's really why I asked Ms. Flanagan the question. The fact that there is a temporary protection order hasn't changed a thing. I don't think the police have any desire to come into the building and lock up all 60 of you because you can't be nice to each other.
They said
I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, they
If
said
I
they-
issue the order, that's really what you're asking me to
That's
do.
correct. They said they would if you do the order, Your Honor. That's what they said.
Well, they're not going to lock up all 60 of
No,
you.
we're
because
just
you're-
talking about
Okay,
Julia.
Ms. Flanagan.
Okay.
You're all, no.
I know, but she
I
lied
can
through her
control
teeth.
it.
She
Nobody
lied
needs
through her
to
teeth and they falsified their statement.
Okay. All right,
And
Ms.
that's a
Flanagan.
fact.
Okay, but you all are saying the same thing about the other
Mm-hmm.
one. So I'm pretty confident that all this is just a paper exercise. If I were to issue it, I'm going to not issue it. Frankly, this is going to fall on the management. They're the ones who work there, live there. They're going to have to keep an eye out and make their own determination. I'm not in a position, because you each are presenting other people saying, no, if it's her fault, it's her fault. And police don't want me to issue an order because they don't want to have to start coming arresting all the people in the building. And there's not enough room in the Olympia City Jail for all 60 of you, and the accommodations are not nearly as comfortable as the ones you have in your building. So I would just ask that you have some degree of respect for the others and just give each other a little grace and as much room as you can, so that you aren't bumping into each other and you can find a little peace in your lives. All right, I have signed the denial order. Ms. Adams and Ms. Flanagan can remain where you are. We'll give you a copy of that order. And were I to hear other cases about this, unless there's something very different, the cases would all end up pretty much like this one is. So I'm just letting you know.
All right, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for speaking and teaching us. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I listened. I heard you.
Are you interested in the paperwork?
No, I don't need it. Okay. So, Ms. Flanagan, Ms. Adams, just wait. We'll give you each a copy of what I
Thanks, sir.
And Ms. Adams, here you go.
Thank you.
Welcome. And Ms.
Is it possible to talk to you after she leaves?
No, we can't do that. Yep.
Your Honor, she's trying to manipulate as she
Okay.
does everyone.
All right.
She's miserable, and she is.
Okay, that's enough. I told her she couldn't say anything to me, and I'll tell you the same.
She's trying to manipulate.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm not gonna tolerate her doing it. In Lewis County, Your Honor, they would have granted it, and they do arrest you, and she does have to pay. It's serious. You don't have a clue. We're gonna come back here. We're worried she has a firearm, so I wanna talk to management. Thank you.
Yep.
I thank you. You're one of the rare judges left. Thank you,
No, let's let that linger for a moment.